So I do know that the longer Brian lives for, the higher the chance that a calamity will occur. Which does sound pretty fun. The curious side of me is looking forward to it, but by the same token, we should probably put some defensive measures into play. And so, to that end, I have installed this contraption here. This is an iron golem generator. Pretty self-explanatory, I think, and by the looks of it, a good job that I did install it. I also think we should start the construction of a barracks for the colony, which will require some research to unlock it to begin with, but when we do have it constructed, that should then give these idiots a little bit more protection. So then, it's just a matter of my own defense, which by the looks of it, I could really be doing with. I think it's about time that we look into making some of these Mekanism gizmos. In particular, I want the shiny silver suit, and also this awesome katana. Just one problem with all of that. We'll need some polonium, which means playing around with chemicals and radiation, and I don't really have the best track record with that sort of stuff. Anyway, before we look into making up any form of polonium, I think we best take care of these mobs spawning in here at the moment. Maybe I won't need guards after all. Maybe all we need is a giant army of iron golems. I think I am just going to hide down here within the nether, at least until the uneasy debuff comes off of us. I seen we got a Eye of the Vigil item there, which I think if we then combine that with a bowl, we get Vigil Eye Soup. And really, what harm could this possibly do? Bottoms up, and it simply gives us a night vision effect. Cool. So I have spent a little bit of time in creative just trying to make up a reactor so that we can start producing polonium, and I have come up with this design here, which, yes, I know the blueprint of it isn't very clear due to these shaders, but in the base of it we will have all of the machines to make us up some nuclear fissile material, which will then be passed into a fission reactor, and that go to feed a turbine on top for some power, but the end product of all of it will simply be some polonium for use. I am really not going to get any form of peace around here at all today, am I? So once all of these spore attacks stop happening, I will head back to the colony and get our builders constructing that for us. And then we will play around with some nuclear materials. And there's our researchers unraveled the mysteries of tactical training. That was a quick 30 minutes, there's our barracks. So I'm thinking to maybe place the barracks just somewhere out here near the new hospital build. And that's a researcher just been killed, that's a shame. And that sounds like a storm forming near us. Right, let's look into placing the barracks in just a second. Yep, everyone's getting killed here. I think for the moment we will just get out of here. In fact, if the storm wanted to follow me, I would like to see how the spore creatures fare against it. Or maybe not. Well, as much as I would like to place the barracks somewhere out in this vicinity here, this is unfortunately too close to the colony's boundary. So in order for me to place it out here, we will need to push back the boundary, which I can do by placing down a few more guard towers. So I think I'm going to need to wait on placing the barracks down here, at least for the moment. These bloody iron golems are getting attracted to the scarlet there. Oh, my poor kangaroo. Oh, that's a shame. Yes, I will hold off on placing down the barracks, but eventually we will place it somewhere over there. I think for the moment, let's maybe see if we can place down this reactor. Could you seriously make up your mind or not? Either form a tornado or just f*** off. Oh, game, give me a break. So I think we're going to place the reactor somewhere over here, just so that I have fairly close access to it. This is dangerously close to the rest of the colony, but that sounds like a them problem. Yep, you know, that's good enough. Let's go ahead with this decoration. That's going to require me teaching the refined storage machine a lot of items here, but the builder will eventually get on with it. We are still getting in a whole host of spore creatures, and we still have a raid at the same time. And as funny as this is, with all of you iron golems going for a nap, I really need you back up and working here. Thank you. Yes, chaps, yes, I see you all. Give me a second, let me take care of you. Well, I think you can pretty much see how the rest of my day is going to go here. Just constant bombardment from bloody spore creatures, tornadoes, raids, you name it. I'm just not going to get any form of peace around here today. But it's now a few days later and we're back with some decent, sporeless progress. I say decent. We've managed to construct a few guard towers to push back the boundary, and I've made some bridges. And all it cost was the lives of half the population. Anyway, the builder is currently working on the fission reactor, and I believe that he's just finished off with the clearing out phase. So he's going to start requesting in some items for it shortly. Quite a lot of items for it. This is a very complicated build. He is requesting in some jungle wood at the moment, but from the forester, nope, our machine is a lot faster, so let's get it making us some up. That's a lot more like it then. That's a lot of different components for me to teach here. Although the framed shroomlight blocks I will need to teach to the stonemason. And excellent, we've already made a start on the basement floor. Which, that's it now complete, and we're starting to place in some pipe work. Then after a little bit of recipe tweaking within the base, that is some of these chemical machines now going in. And don't ask me how all of this chemical stuff works. I have no idea, nor do I really care. All I know is that the end product from it all will be some fissile material, which is stupidly dangerous, stupidly radioactive, and I do need to be careful of it, but we'll worry about that after we get everything set up here. We have a few more requests to take care of, which are still relatively straightforward enough, but those were fission reactor components that he was requesting there, which means we should be making progress. Indeed we are. We are now placing in some clear glass, so that's pretty much the basement now complete. And overall, we are 20% done with the project. The miner was pricked to death. At least she went out with a smile on her face. And great, that is the water going in for the cooling system now. And there's the weather also trying to help. But I think we've got this covered here, Rain. And that's the fission reactor components now going in. We are 30% done. And there's even more fission reactor components for us to make, including some radioactive waste barrels. And there's the fuel assembly array within the reactor, as well as the setup for our polonium, which we will require a solar neutron activator for it, of course. Which is relatively straightforward. Our machine knows all of these components, apart from the HDPE sheets, which I will look into at another point. For now though, it's time to teach some more components, and this time it's some components for our turbines. We are now fast approaching 50% done with our project. There's the control rods now going in on top of the fuel assembly array, so the fission reactor is nearly complete. And in fact, I see him placing in the final blocks here to the roof of the reactor. So once he places in the final 2 blocks there, that should automatically complete. And we now have the fission reactor up but not yet working. We will eventually get it working once we get some fissile material up from the basement. We still have a little bit more tweaking to do down here. We are now 60% done with the project. All we really have left is the turbine on top, which is going to take a little bit of time to complete. There is a shitload of clear glass required for it, and that is going to take a time. So I think I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, just until we're nearly done with the turbine. And we got the prepare message again, so we're being overrun by spore creatures. Man, Brian, could you just leave us be? In better news, however, we are now 90% done with the reactor. Just a few more turbine casings to go, and that will be it complete. And I believe it's this clawed creature in the distance there holding me. Yes, it was. Let's quickly get these iron golems on the go again. These spore creatures are being absolutely relentless. But at least we are making progress with the reactor. And I'm still working out how to make these HDPE sheets in the meantime, which I believe that this setup here should work. And long story short, here's our sheets. So we should now be able to craft a solar neutron activator. Sadly, I have just missed it flagging off, but that was the builder finishing off with the reactor. Also, I think the spore attacks have ceased, at least for the moment. So we will set the solar activator just to the back here, and downstairs we will put in these isotopic centrifuges after I stop breaking things. We will need to supply the system with delicious yellow cake uranium, which is easily done, and we'll set it so the system always has a stack of it available. Well, I believe that's everything now looking okay. Let's get some power into this and see what explodes. So far so good by the sounds of it. Oh, that's just tragic. That is a lot of deaths actually. Yep, more vigils. Shame that I'm just way too busy in here to help. Well, things are definitely sounding like they are working. We are producing a lot of different gases and chemicals, and that's the centrifuge now active, creating us fissile fuel, which should be coming upstairs and feeding directly into the fission reactor. Yes, the reactor is slowly filling up. Alrighty then, let's activate this, and we're going to keep a very close eye on that temperature. Oh, but I completely forgot one massively important thing. Whoops. Let's get some cooling into this. Yes, that's a bad start. Well, the fission reactor is off at the moment, just until it starts slowly filling up with water. It's just currently pumping the excess steam, I think, out of its system. That steam should eventually make its way up here and into the turbine to power it. And if I come around to the back of it, we have a plug which we will connect to our power grid. So once the turbine is up and operational properly, that's just going to be even more power for us. But good, that's water now starting to fill up the coolant tank. Let's reactivate this. And I would say that's all looking pretty stable now. I also see the resultant nuclear waste from the reactor slowly flowing through this pipe and into the solar activator. Another nice message up from Brian. Well, I do believe that is everything working as intended. Nuclear waste is being converted into polonium and then fed into this reaction chamber. And now that I've set it up with some fluorite dust, it should start to harden the polonium into their pellet forms. But I think we need about a bucket's worth of polonium just to make one pellet, so this is definitely going to take a while. I do know that we can increase the amount of nuclear waste we get from the reactor just by simply increasing the burn rate within it, but that's also the same type of thinking that causes meltdowns, so I think we'll just be patient and wait. But huzzah!
We now have a way to make polonium, which means we're one step closer to gaining some new weapons and armors. I think to end, what we'll do is start the construction of the new barracks build, and I think we owe a personal visit to Brian just to thank him for all of his hard work here today. Oh, what the hell are those?